When I talk about shadow work, about the nature of diving into the subconscious to heal wounds, but to also come to terms with the reasons why in your life experience you are experiencing what you are experiencing, whatever that might be. That's a real deep process that I have worked with for such a long time in my life, around so many aspects of my life. When I find myself confronted with a situation that I won't spiritually bypass by saying something like, well, you know, this is just how it is. We're all one, baby. Everything's hunky-dory. When I know that things can be, in regards to my creation, of my existence, of my life, I can have very different experiences and make very different choices and come to very different outcomes if I know the reason why I'm experiencing what I'm experiencing in that moment. And if people are my mirrors, and they are my mirrors because we are all one consciousness experiencing itself subjectively, then people are only showing me parts of myself that are unhealed, that are wounds. They're showing parts of myself that I don't want to see or acknowledge. And also showing me parts of myself that I've healed on some level too, and I have worked through, and therefore I won't tolerate in myself or anybody else. Those are just a few attributes of the shadow work that I've done in the last, realistically, at the moment anyway, the last few years. One of the big aspects of my shadow work over the years has been a lack of self-worth. A lack of self-worth, a lack of self-nurturing, a lack of belief in myself that I'm worthy of the love that I want to actually generate for myself, but also receive from people. And that, which is a paradox in itself, because you are love. You are source energy. The divine spark of who you are is love. It's the cosmic glue that binds everything together. The unified field is love. Cosmic glue, cosmic joke. And that comes down to ego. The creation of the ego, which gives us separation from each other, which creates an us and them situation rather than we. So the ego is always looking for validation, looking to survive, looking to be seen, heard. So for me, when I was working through some stuff in my body code work last week, I come across a statement about not being seen or being seen. And in my astrology from my birth chart, or from my avatar, my incarnation, my fertilization of the zygote, that point of origin, no, actually it was my birth, leaving the birth canal. It'd be interesting to actually do astrology from the zygote, 9 months, if you can find out the exact time that you were conceived, doing the astrology there of the, not you, but your avatar was conceived, doing the astrology of the zygote rather than the birth. But for me, part of my shadow work has been the sense of validation and the need to be seen. Now, I've come out of my box a lot over the years, since 2008. I was very theatrical at school. I was very sport orientated, and I thought that for me, I was going to move into drama and acting at a very young age. But I was more drawn to sport than I was to the visual arts, acting, theatre. But I did do a lot of theatrical performances for friends often lip syncing to songs for friends at my cricket club, and also doing stage performances for variety talent shows at school. And when I was at university, my first year at university, I was very much a mimic of other people, to make myself be seen in a way that I felt like I had come to a whole new world, and therefore I was looking to create a space where I was seen by people in the same way I was seen at my school, because I went to a university and there was two people from a school that I went to, about 1,300 students. Only two of us went to university at Otago University that year, so I knew no one. So I needed to rebuild myself and rebuild my life. So I became very, very animated in my existence to get attention, to create friendships, and didn't really know who I was. Very much asleep at the wheel, very much in my ego. But the validation aspect was a big thing for me. And that's where it really began to kick off for me in regards to my desire to be seen by a woman, to feel validated by a woman, to be loved by a woman, to be seen by a woman, and to find that validation through sexual intercourse. And that's where in my shadow work, for me, that's one huge aspect of my life that I walked away from in 2017. The need to be validated through sexual connection, and the skill level that I have in regards to sexual connection, intimate relationships, sexual prowess, through my learning, through my education, through me asking questions of my lovers, through me studying, through me working through certain processes and techniques that allowed me to become the best lover I possibly could, to become reverent, to become devoted, to make myself feel good about who I was, because I couldn't cultivate the love I wanted for myself, because I couldn't connect to source in the way that I wanted to remember who I really was, what I really was. And the energy of love has always been there. When you cultivate love for somebody else, it originates in you, and it comes through your heart vortex, in my experience, and then flows out towards the individual that you are feeling how you feel about. So to be vulnerable, I was chasing authenticity in a way that allowed me, through validation from other women, from other people, from women especially, in a sexual prowess way, in a way that allowed me to be the best possible lover I possibly could for many, many years. And that was my validation, that was my identity. But I was terrified of love, I was terrified of real intimacy, I was terrified of real connection. It was just too real, and it involved going deeply into work that I wasn't prepared to go. I wasn't prepared to shine a light into my shadow, into the darkest recesses of my being in my childhood, and the wounds there, because that would mean that I would have to be authentic and real and deep and honest and vulnerable. And in that vulnerability, I believed, due to the nature of my conditioning and my subconscious, that I'd seen my family members and my friends and my family and my peers and the world around me as I was growing up, excuse me, that by being vulnerable and being in that position, you only got hurt. So for me, also, I had fear of abandonment due to abandonment issues as a child that I project into my connections unconsciously from my subconscious into my relationships and my relating to women. All that all changed in 2017 when I had a taste of my own medicine. I've talked about this before. I had a taste of my own medicine in regards to someone breaking my trust, who I was dating at the time. I had broken many women's trust because I was fearful of real connection. So therefore I sabotaged every connection with a woman who truly loved me and adored me and saw me and wanted to be with me that way. So I went from lover to lover to lover to lover to lover, relationship to relationship to relationship to relationship. And then of course, I knew I had the self-awareness to know that I was responsible for creating all those issues I had with relating to a woman. And that was my work. Part of my work was relating to that experience. And I got to a point in my life where I resonated out into the world like a mantra. Where the most beautiful woman in the world would constantly come onto me for sexual intercourse, and I'd ravish them in love. And that was my experience for 25, almost 30 years. Well, 25 years, not 30. Maybe even 23. Because in 2017 I knocked it on the head and went, I can't do this anymore. And that was the year that I sat on my couch in my flat in Berrenport in Wellington with my curtains pulled every night, green curtains, with my French doors, turn off all my technology, and would look at my curtains and let whatever percolate up through introspection, shadow work, and sit there and often in tears, remembering some of my actions, my words, my deeds, my behaviors, and forgiving myself for the horrors of my behavior that I perceived to be horrors, my perceived horrors of my behavior. I took a whole year off, almost a whole year, from March through the end of December, New Year's Eve 2017, 18, 2018. I didn't want to be intimate with anybody. I didn't want to be intimate with any woman at all. Having said that, the resonance of that, what I was projecting out into the world from my subconscious, still manifested in my life, and I counted them, 54 women come onto me for sexual intercourse that year, from the end of March through to the end of December. 54. One of them, 3 times in one night, became my girlfriend in 2018 for 2 years. She came onto me 3 times in one night at Halloween, on Halloween 2017. And I said yes at the end of the year. But we got together in 2018. But I was afraid. And I had to go to couples. I chose to go to couples counseling. I chose to dive deeper into my fear and into my subconscious and into my shadow, and process what was keeping me afraid of real connection. In 2019, I did couples counseling for almost a year with my partner at the time, Inga, and I learnt a lot about myself and her. And I grew. And I faced my darkness, and I was often in tears, terrified, fearful, but brave enough and courageous enough to realize that I was not allowing myself to feel nourished, to feel loved, and to validate myself in a way that made me feel like I was part of something bigger than myself and connected to all that is, has been, and never will be. That's true shadow work. And that's what Mark Passio talks about, agape, A-G-A-P-E, real initiation into a place where you comprehend through gnosis, knowing that you are part of all of creation, and therefore you generate compassion and love for all of creation. Tough work. And I've been meditating now for almost almost 7 years, practicing Metta Bhavana and Tonglen, and my own form of Tonglen, and Metta Bhavana, which I just sit in my heart space and feel my heart beating, and then of course the vortex, the subtle energy of the vortex, the heart vortex, and sit in that space and allow it to whatever percolates up to percolate up. But in the last few years, the relationships I've had and the relating I've had to a woman hasn't been existent. And that's because if I look around me, the woman I'm bringing into my life are friends. And I genuinely see them as friends. And that's a beautiful thing to be able to say that, what I'm available for. I know that I am available for deeper connection and love. And real love. real vulnerability, real authenticity. I'm available for all those experiences in my life with the right woman for me. And what I've experienced over the last few years is women that have offered me an insight into my own shadow work through them being mirrors for me. And I appreciate that, but they're not the woman I've chosen to be with long term because they're not for me. They're for me in that moment, but they're not for me long term. And I'm wondering, and the more I do my shadow work, whether I'm destined to be a single man for the rest of my life with little interludes of connection, romantic connection. And the more I do the shadow work, the more I comprehend that that potentially feels like it's the truth, a truth to me. Yeah, a truth to me. Which brings me finally to this. This is a keruru wood pigeon feather, which I found on the trail that I'm walking here on the Zion Hill between Karakari and Wharapu. In 2020, I went to, when our country in New Zealand was locked down and our borders were closed, it was a wonderful year. It was an exciting year because we had lots of parties and festivals and occasions where we didn't have social distancing in 2020. We didn't have masks. We didn't have vaccine passports. We just had a country that was locked down and you couldn't leave. Well, you could leave, but it was very hard to leave, but you couldn't come into the country unless you were going to quarantine for 2 weeks. So there was a lot of parties, a lot of gigs, a lot of events around Wellington at the time. It was awesome. It was an awesome time. We had some fun, some real great times in Wellington in 2020. One event I went to was at the Grand Hotel on Courtney Place. It was a burner party in August. I think it was August or July. I can't fucking remember which month it was. It was the winter. But anyway, it was a burner party. It was a Churburn fundraiser party. And it was ram fucking packed. It was so fucking packed. It was like, you couldn't move. 3 floors. Unbelievable party. Proper fucking fun. Burning Man, Kiwi Burn party. Proper wild party. And I decided that year to stop taking drugs. That was my last year of taking. I took no drugs in 2020 at all. And I went to that party and a lot of people were shit-faced. Cooked. Fucking cooked. And I was wearing my shamanic panda uniform. I call it the shamanic panda. I look like a panda bear. A pink panda hat with pom-pom balls, with feathers tied to the balls. No shirt, furry pink pants, face paint across my face. And this girl approached me. And I thought I was dreaming when I saw her. She was Asiatic. And probably the most beautiful Asiatic woman I've ever seen in my life. And she was fucking cooked. Cooked. And she said to me, when she saw me, oh my God, I've waited my entire life to meet you. And I looked at her and I thought, fuck, you're cooked. Fuck, you are cooked. And it was for me, but my heart completely opened in that moment when she said that said that to me. And then she's like, oh my God, can I give you a hug? And I was like, yeah. Okay, sure. And when she held me, she's like, oh, I found you. And it felt like, for me in that moment, that I'd met the woman I wanted to be with for the rest of my incarnation. But she wandered off, and I followed her, and I said to her, hey, what's your name? And she wouldn't tell me. She was just so fucking high. And I was just like, hey man, where are your friends? She pointed over that way, so I got her friends and said, hey, come and look after your mate, she's fucking loaded. And she said, oh yeah. They came and took her away, and I didn't see her again for most of the night. And then as I was leaving, I was talking to my friend Edith, and she came up to me and she goes to me, there you are. And I was like, hey, and she kind of, not so cooked. I said, I've got a present for you. I pulled one of my feathers out of my hat. I said, here you go. And she said, really? I'll never forget this, she said. And of course, when you're cooked, you'll say fucking any bullshit that comes out your mouth. Whether it's sincere or not, I can't say. But it felt like a bunch of bullshit to me, to be honest. Anyway, I said to my friend Katie, where do I put it? She's wearing a black bandana. She said, put it on the side behind her ear. So I put it behind her ear, pushed it in behind her ear, and she said, "I'll never forget this. I'll never let it out of my sight." And she walked off. So for the last 6 years, in my van, I might do a little video at the end of this as an addendum, I've got a little kite with feathers. Wherever I go in the country, if I see a feather, I pick it up, I put it in the kite for her. And I say, always and forever, you, my love. As at some point in my life moving forward, I might just have a kite full of feathers as a reminder of how I felt about that woman. No wanting, no possession, just pure love and appreciation and adoration and reverence and respect for that beautiful woman. Even though she was cooked, and I'd probably walk past her on the street tomorrow and she wouldn't even know who I was. But I'd still give her these feathers. Because in the end, I am deeply romantic. And that's who I am. The more I dig into my shadow, the more I dive into who I am, I realize I am a truly romantic individual. And there is a reason why I'm a poet. Because I'm a romantic at heart. Thanks for watching. I truly appreciate it. Mā te ua. I'll see you again soon.